Dear students, in this module, we are going to talk about religion. As you know, religion is part and parcel of our daily life, and it is perhaps the most important source or the derivative source of our ways of life, the way we have our belief system, and the way we have our ideology, as well as our attitudes towards others. So, religion consists of beliefs and practices that separate the sacred from profane and unites its adherents into a moral community. In other words, we usually believe in certain things to be sacred, while the other things as the normal part of our life. For example, being a Muslim, you believe that the Holy Quran, the book of Holy Quran, is sacred for you. The Holy Kaaba is sacred for you. Mosque as a place of worship is also sacred for you. Whereas the other spaces, like while you are going into a street, it might not have that sacred value as compared to the mosque. So religion is one of the most important social institutions responsible of providing the masses with the vibrant moral system. By moral system, we mean that our definitions of right and wrong or of good and bad are also derived from religion. For example, how do you know that something is right or some act is right to commit? For example, is it right to tell a lie? Is it right to steal something? Or is it right to kill someone? Obviously, these are not the right acts. But from where do we derive the definition of these acts, whether these acts are right or wrong? Definitely, religion helps us to define our morality. So, religion ultimately becomes one of the sources, or perhaps the only viable source of morality. But it's a controversial debate of philosophy. So instead of indulging into this debate, we would be talking more about what religion is. So let's talk about certain elements of religion which become the part and parcel of a complete religious system. The first one is the belief that some things are sacred, forbidden, or set apart from the other things. As we have already told, that the sacred things are something that you consider very valuable, like the mosque or the Holy Quran. These are the sacred things for you. And the practices or the rituals which centers on the things considered as sacred. So in order to protect those sacreds, or in order to protect those values, we do perform the religious practices. For example, in order to reflect that how our faith is in God is sacred, we do practice the prayers or the 5-time prayers that reflect our religious practices, that we are obeying the God and we are respecting his commands, and by respecting his commands we are trying to reflect through our actions, try to reflect through our practices that we are the true believers in God. And a moral community which finally results from the groups of beliefs and practices. How do we behave with each other? Should we behave arbitrarily? Should we behave randomly? Should we behave the way we want to, or based on our own desires and wishes? Obviously not. We do possess certain commands, and based on those commands, we act with our fellow beings. So let's talk about the formal definition of what religion is from a sociological point of view. So according to Emil Durkheim, who is one of the pioneers of empirical sociology, religion is a unified system of beliefs and practices relating to the sacred things That is to say, the things set apart from the forbidden. So it means that religion is based on certain beliefs and practices, which we consider that these are the ultimate, these are non-negotiable, and these are hard to change. So beliefs and practices which unite people into a single moral community. And according to Akbar Nimkov, another definition, that religion is the attitude towards the superhuman powers or to the metaphysical world. So these two definitions are obviously talking about religion from a different perspective. For one, it is the part and parcel of our everyday life, whereas from other definition, from Akbar Nimkov's point of view, we are trying to define the religion in a metaphysical space, the space which is beyond our physical world. So let's talk about the forms of religion or religious beliefs. Generally, being Muslims, we do believe in one God. However, not everyone believes in one God. So theism is the belief in the existence of one or more divines or deities which exist within the universe and yet transcend it. It means that theism is belief in any God. It can be one God or it can be the multiple gods. So whoever believes in the existence of God or gods would be called a theist. And if we derive from theism, there are two basic categories of belief system. The first one is monotheism, which means it refers to the belief in the existence of one God. Perhaps we are having different versions or different views about who that one God is. In Islam, perhaps we believe that the only God is Allah, whereas in other religions, like in Christianity or in Judaism, they do possess the belief in one God. However, their construction or their conception of that one God is different from the conception of God in Islam. Or polytheism is the other aspect of theism. It means that it refers to the belief in multiple gods, whereas the pantheism, it means it refers to the belief that God is equivalent to the nature or the physical universe. Perhaps you have frequently heard about that nature has done this or nature has done that to us. It means that we do consider that perhaps this physical universe, it possesses some consciousness that or consciousness with which it can act meaningfully. It might not be the arbitrary occurrence around us. So the meaningful aspects of nature can also be considered acting like a god. So if we talk about religion in Pakistan, we know that majority of Pakistanis are Muslims, almost 96%, depending on different sources of this figure. Between 96 to 98% of Pakistanis are considered Muslims, and they follow the traditional practices of Islam. And most of Pakistanis belong to the Sunni sect, one of the major branches of Islam. And however, we do consider that there are some significant number of Shiite community as well. And in addition to these two main groups, we do possess some other small sects like Ahmadiyya community as well as the other religious groups. So these distributions make Pakistan a religiously diversified community. However, majority of Muslims do believe in presence of one God, and they do believe the practices of Islam as their religion and the derivative source of their life ideology.